Good morning. My name is Dinu Kolombage. I'm the United National Party's Working Committee member for the electorate of Akurasa and also the Director of International Affairs for President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Today we are exactly 1 month out from the presidential election. The presidential election that we are facing will not be one that will only choose the country's leader for the next 5 years, but will also help us ensure the path that the country is going down will be the correct one. In the past 2 years, since the economic crisis of 2022, the President has been able to stabilize the situation in the country, and we have now seen the economy of the country grow in 3 consecutive quarters. Previously, most of us, when we stepped out of our houses, we saw fuel queues, gas queues, electricity shortages, power cuts for over 16 hours, medicine shortages. That is all now a thing of the past. However, this success and the growth and the return to normalcy in the country has been achieved by the presidency due to the tough decisions that the president himself has taken. These tough decisions have included taxes and reforms to the system. Like all situations, these difficult decisions have been taken with the well-being of the country in the foremost of the president's mind. We have seen continually support for the president when he has taken these tough decisions. Now we are in an election year. 2024 is the presidential election. However, at the beginning of this year, President Ranil Wickremesinghe decided to raise taxes, not because he wanted to, not because it was an election gimmick, but because he recognized that if taxes such as VAT were not increased, government revenue would not be able to match the government spending. By taking this tough decision and not thinking of only the election, but thinking of the next 5 years, the president has ensured that the country's economy has continued to grow and the situation has stabilized. Now, the necessity to stick to these reforms, which albeit have been difficult, have been highlighted by many both local and foreign experts. Today in the morning, I saw in the newspaper the Japanese ambassador in an interview, while insisting he is not supporting any individual candidate, has stated, "It is crucial to first restore the international community's trust. To this end, it is essential to steadily implement the various economic and social reforms laid down as conditions by the IMF, which is also the basis for the agreement on the debt restructuring." What this means is that Japan's own representative in Sri Lanka has highlighted the importance that we continue down the path that we have undertaken. He has not gone out and said that he's supporting any individual candidate, but has stressed the need to continue this program which the president himself has started and is committed to continuing. Our own central bank has also cautioned against deviating from the IMF program following the conclusion of the elections. They too have said that if there's any change in the IMF program or cancellation, that the country will return to the crisis it was in 2022. As election season has kicked in, prospective candidates are making false promises in the hopes of winning votes from the electorate. Sajid Premadasa, our opposition leader, has continually stated that he's going to renegotiate the IMF agreement. He said it yesterday at a rally and he has said it all weekend. However, we have this question for Mr. Premadasa. How does he plan on doing this? What is the timeline for these negotiations with the IMF? And has he even discussed this plan with the IMF previously? We know the SJB has held discussions with the IMF. At the beginning of this month, following the IMF's review of the country, they released a press statement, and this is what they said in it. With Sri Lanka's knife-edge recovery at a critical juncture, sustaining the reform momentum and ensuring timely implementation of all program commitments are critical to cement the hard-won economic progress to date and put the economy on a firm footing. The IMF themselves are urging the people of Sri Lanka to stick to the program. Now, if the IMF is asking us to stick to the program, where does Sajid Premadasa and his economic team believe that they can renegotiate this? And why did they not join us when we first started the negotiations with the IMF? Back in 2022, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, as soon as he took office, invited all opposition parties to join him and negotiate with the IMF together so that there would be a simple, centralized communication. Instead, the opposition chose to sit on the sidelines. Furthermore, has the Samagi Jana Balawege and its presidential candidates, Sajid Premadasa, discussed their plans to renegotiate the IMF with our partner nations, such as Japan and India, or the rest of the Overseas Creditors Committee, who were instrumental in Sri Lanka securing the debt restructuring agreements with both our bondholders and our multilateral creditors? In 2022, Dr. Harsha De Silva he tweeted this: had a 3-hour meeting regarding Sri Lanka economic crisis with the Governor Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the Secretary of the Treasury, with Sajid Premadasa, Eran Vikramaratne, Kabir Hashim. Situation grave. Going to be undeniable, gigantic challenge for anyone to save Sri Lanka. This is what he tweeted on the 10th of May, 2022. Now, at that point itself, Dr. De Silva pointed out that it was a huge task that lay ahead of whoever took over. President Ranil Wickremesinghe took up the challenge, and he has succeeded. We are now out of bankruptcy. We are asking Dr. De Silva, stop criticizing the president's program, one that you yourself have stood up many times in Parliament and said is necessary, and instead join the president and support him in this program. If not, you all have a responsibility to the public to stand up and show them exactly how you all plan on renegotiating its IMF agreement and what are your plans for taking the country forward. Making such promises is just pure irresponsibility by the part of the opposition. If they do not have a viable alternative, then they need to step down from this election and allow the president to continue with his program. The president's own reform program has been a success. There is no two words about it. Within 2 years, the country was pulled out of bankruptcy, something that many other countries have not been able to do, including countries such as Greece, who had the entire backing of the European Union. Foreign investments by Japan and South Korea, which were halted in 2022 following the onset of the economic crisis, have now been restarted. As I said earlier, starting in the second half of 2023, Sri Lanka has enjoyed 3 successive quarters of economic growth. In 2023, the government recorded a primary budget surplus of 6.7%. In 2022, the state-owned enterprises of Sri Lanka recorded a collective loss of 720 billion rupees. In the first 8 months of 2023, we have been able to turn that around into a profit of 313 billion rupees. Our foreign reserves were at less than $100 million when the president took over in 2022. Today, it has been rebuilt to be over $5 billion. 2 days ago, a 20-page booklet has been distributed among the media outlining all the success and progress that has been made due to the reform program by the president. This alone should cement the people's confidence in the president and ensure his success at this upcoming election. People have asked us, where has been the president's success? What are his plans for the future? It is all here. The president has said that he's going to continue this program. His pledge at this election is very simple. It is a continuation of the program he began when he took over the country in 2022. There's nothing new that needs to be done. We just have to continue pushing forward. A plan has been put in place, not for the next 6 months, not for the next 1 year, but for the next 5, 10, 15, and even 25 years. But for that to be successful and for Sri Lanka to reach its potential, we must not deviate from this program. After 2 years of delivering results and ensuring that the crisis of 2022 is a thing of the past, the public can now look forward for a country moving in a sustained, manageable path that is under the president. 2022, the opposition was given the opportunity to take charge, but they chose to sit back and allow the president to do the heavy lifting. He took the tough decisions, and they are now yielding results. Today, the opposition is suggesting that we undo all that. They talk about renegotiating the IMF agreement. That is going to knock us back 2 years, if not 5, 10. There is no clear indication by anyone in the opposition camp that they can actually succeed with these negotiations. By all accounts, both the IMF and our partner countries are also not for any sort of renegotiation. As once again, I'm reiterating, the opposition needs to come out and show us what their plans are for this. September 21st is going to be an opportunity for the public to not just vote for an individual, but to make the choice between a continuation of a program that has been successful in overcoming the worst post-crisis that post-independent Sri Lanka has seen, or we can just go along with the empty promises that have been made that would drive us back to the situation we were in 2022. Now, just before I sat down for this press conference, Honorable Thalata Attukoralla had announced her resignation from Parliament. She outlined where she has lost confidence in her leader, Sajid Premadasa, and the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. 4 years under the leadership of Sajid Premadasa, the Attukoralla family has stepped out of politics. Many more are going to join her because they have realized the futility of this campaign. They are running against the tide with empty promises. We call on all SJB members, follow on from the Honourable Member and join us now and stop this madness. The opposition and Sajid Premadasa and his new economic advisors, plenty of them who are in the former government that led to the crisis are going to lead us back down that same path. So we ask you all, support the president's program, support the reform efforts, and ensure that this election is not fought on political lines, but just simply a rubber stamp to the economic program that we are undertaking. Thank you.